Hello and welcome to this week's video. Fun with paper towels or kitchen roll or whatever you call this stuff in your part of the world. It does get a little bit sticky and a little bit messy, but it ends up with something subtle and sophisticated. Totally unlike me. And here we go. Chuck on. Little bit of beach on that I'd already drilled a hole on with a Forstner bit, speeding through this, just turning, shaping the bottom, rather simple curve to it, although I spend a little bit of time making sure that it curves completely and there are no flat spots on it. And you can see I've got a tenon and a foot on the bottom there, and then just doing a bit of shear scraping to get that curve right. It looks like there is a bit of a flat in it, but that's the camera angle, honest. Here you go, a closer look. And then just tidying up the foot with a little 3/8 spindle gouge, and then everyone's joy, sanding. Then my usual go-to finish now, which is Chestnut's cut and polish on the back. Get that smooth and shiny, and then turn it around and clean the face up. Here I used a couple of gouges, my normal Sorby 3/8 gouge with a fingernail grind, and then a little 1/4 inch with a standard grind. Now I was actually taking some still images of this as well, so I took it out of the off the lathe and put it on my carving jig. And now this is a little bit of a peculiar idea. I put a lot of texture on and then painted it, but this time I thought, why don't I put the paint on first and then texture it with my deliciously textured kitchen roll. Lovely texture and lovely bits of kitchen roll left behind, some of which I could remove delicately. It's not a finish that is going to be pristine, but I also found that using a little bit of thinners I was able to get any little bits of stuck paper out. Off camera I blasted it with a heat gun because I was impatient, and then sanded it back with one of the little abrasive pads. Now what that did was flatten down obviously the top, got rid of some stuck in bits of kitchen roll that perhaps I couldn't get rid of, and you can see the texture that's left behind. And then it was a case of some acrylic iridescent paints, Chestnut Products ones, thinned down slightly to put them on as a wash, and you can see how the colour is working its way into the texture that was there. And I was quite pleased that the texture wasn't actually just the imprint of the kitchen roll, otherwise that would have been a little bit, well, a bit too precise for my liking. Next we have iridescent yellow going on over the top, but some bits the green predominates, and then another quick rub down just to expose perhaps a little bit of bare wood in places on the high spots. And this is actually metallic white. You can see it at the top there, it's showing white. Oh, and here we go, coming around the side now. And I quite like the look of that, but you know me, why use 3 colours when you can use 4? And also they're all rather similar in tone, so I went for some red with a little bit of thinner. It looks very vibrant in the pot, but when it's combined with the other colours it's a much more muted, heathery sort of tone, and it began to give me a sort of another sort of Scottishy feel going on, a bit like my cosmic tartan from a few weeks back. So now back on the lathe with the chuck, and then turning out the middle. Not a huge bowl this one, and it didn't survive, it got recycled, but that's what I like doing, trying things out and doing new things to ones that haven't quite made it. I think this is a nice finish to use, although I think it probably would have been better on something a bit bigger. So just turning out the middle, a little bit of sanding, and then of course a little bit of cut and polish to put a bit of shine on it and clean off all the dust that gets generated when you do that power sanding. And then, well, another little project done. Of course the colours can be changed. You could use more metallic colours. You could, I suppose, just use one colour and black. But why would you want to do that when there are so many lovely colours in these paint ranges? Anyway, here we go, coming off the lathe now, and I'm sure I'll be talking into the camera any moment now. And here it is, little finished colouring experiment. I haven't taken the foot off yet. I might need to do a bit more work on this. It hasn't got a finish on yet. It's a bit too cold to reliably use lacquer this time of year, so it could have hard wax oil on it. That makes a nice finish. I find it quite difficult to get the sheen caught properly. The colours really don't come alive at all, do they, on the video? But still images will show that. I've gone for one of my little tiny useless bowls, 3 Malteser bowl. But I really like the subtlety that thinning down the colours gives to those metallics and iridescents. The ones I used started off with green iridescent, then yellow, then a diluted white, and then just to put some contrast on, give it a bit more life, the iridescent red. So 3 iridescents and 1 metallic. And it's got a sort of Scottishy, heathery kind of feel to it, to my eye. Goes along with my rather strange sort of homage to tartan a few weeks back. Right, until next time, thanks for watching.